One of the things I wanted to do when I started up this website is to put together a bunch of information to describe the tools, and eventually we'll be doing training videos, short training videos, using the tools in specific situations. For now, I just want to describe things by category, and I'm going to start with the category of snips. Several different snips available. You'll see that on the website. I just wanted to do a brief explanation of why so many different snips and what their domestic, nearest domestic relative is. First set is the shape and straight cutting snips. These actually come in a set. In the set is left snip, right snip, and one of the mini snips. Either right or left. So these are labeled on the website as shape and straight cutting snips. For comparison, they look exactly like the straight cutting snips at first glance, but they're a little bit different. The straight cutting snips have a wider blade here. So if you look at the shape of the head on these, okay, a little bit wider. This is straight, and this is the straight and shape cutting. Now, shape cutting means a little bit, they lend themselves a little bit better to cutting a radius. Okay, so these are a nice heavy-duty snip for doing, for the most part, straight cuts. I'll show you a couple of different materials. And the shape and straight cutting snips have a little tighter cutting radius. So this is stainless steel. No problem cutting radius, okay? With the straight snips, you can do the same thing. It's just not as tight a cutting radius. You can see I gotta force that a little bit. So, still cut a radius all day long with the straight snips, but the straight and shape snips, you can get a little bit tighter radius. The nearest domestic snip to that is Midwest. So Midwest snip, roughly the same head shape, a little bit more rounded on the Midwest, but you see what I'm saying here. Very similar, okay? With the straight snips, you can see that the head's definitely beefed up a little bit. So it's a little wider here, a little wider right here. The Midwest is not quite so wide. The difference between the Midwest and the Euro snips are a much higher grade of steel and stay sharper a lot longer. Very good all-around snip. The only other difference between these two types of snips is the straight and shape snips are not serrated, so they have a smooth blade. So if you do a lot of pattern cutting, if you do soldering and you want a nice clean smooth edge to solder, these have no serrations. The straight snips have a very subtle micro serrations, so they grab a little bit better, but you can hardly tell the difference between the cut. You could feel it if you run your finger along there. the difference between this cut and that cut, but it's tough to see it. It's very difficult to see. So that's the main difference between these. Do a lot of work with 24 gauge steel. These are nice. The straights. You do a lot of work with a bunch of different materials. These are nice. The shape and straight snips. Okay. Next set on the website. Is the minis. Got a right, a left, and a straight. Smaller version of its big brother, the shape and straight cutting snips, but same head shape. Okay, these are nice for small work. If you have to cut a tight diameter circle, anything like that, where you have a tight spot where you have to get into, these are very nice for that. I don't use them much, but when I do use them, they're a very handy set to have. These are on a website. These are called the latest generation of leverage snips. And again, these are a very similar head design to the shape and straight cutting snips. Almost the same, just a little bit beefier, but almost the same. The thing that sets these snips apart is they have a one-hand lock and unlock. So if you're putting snips in and out of your pocket all day, very simple to open and close. One hand. Nice. Again, they lend themselves to tighter radius cut than the straight snips. So again, if you look at the difference in the head design, these straight ones, a little bit thicker here than here, and that difference makes these snips be able to cut a little bit tighter radius. All right. These are the strongest blades they make, and these are for very tough material. These are expensive, but they're very, very strong. A very strong alloy blade, and they can cut pretty much anything. Stainless steel, no problem. You'd have a tough time doing that with a pair of regular Midwest snips. I mean, I can cut a 1/16 of an inch with that. But very strong blades. They'll last really long, but probably the most expensive snips on the website. If you do a lot of stainless steel work, if you're in a shop that does a lot of stainless steel duct work, and your blades keep wearing out, Midwest or Wiss or Milwaukee, these are very long lasting, stay sharp for a very long time, and you'll get your money's worth out of them. Long nose cutting snips, pretty self-explanatory. The nearest relative to these is the Midwest snips. Midwest makes a long version. Again, difference being much higher quality steel on the blades. These will stay sharper a lot longer. So, very similar in design. nice for long cuts. This is 24 gauge steel. No problem. Nice smooth edge. Okay. Next set. These are Pelican snips. Right and left. So back in the day, if you had a pair of long snips, long bladed snips, you had very limited choices. You either had a pair of WIS A9s or A10s, or eventually they modernized and came out with the inset blades or the replaceable blade version. These guys, again, not very good on architectural type metal. They're fine for the lightweight stuff like coil stock, 017, 019, that kind of stuff. But once you get into some of the heavier gauge materials, they just don't hold up. The blades get dull too fast. So the Pelicans work very well for long straight cuts. You can use them right side up or upside down. Again, nice straight even cut. Fairly heavy duty. They stay sharp a long time also. Chances are, if you've been doing this for a long time, this type of snip was the snip you started with. And these go way back to the old WIS snips and to some extent the old Malco snips. Here's an old pair of WISs. Or Malcos. They were the same. They were made by the same manufacturer. But aviation snips. So again, if you're used to aviation snips, you've used these all your life, that's all you ever know how to use, then this set here, right, left, and a straight, will again stay longer, sharper, much longer, and give you years of service. They're a great set. You're doing a double lock work and you're doing European details. These are snip with a radius blade. They're called a punch snip. Okay. And once you start doing some of the Euro details, a lot of those details involve doing a cut on a radius. So these are specifically for radius cuts. Okay. So it's a nice clean radius. And you'll see when we start doing the demonstrations and laying out some details that there are a whole set of tools that are geared to this radius. So everything is engineered to work together. As the information develops and I get more information out there, you'll see how to use these and use them to put details together in the field. Okay, but these are available on the right and the left. They used to be available in a straight also, but the straight has become replaced lately by these. So these are called, these are a shape and straight cutting snip also. Same name as the first ones I showed you. Same name as these. I call these Euro style though. No springs, okay. Bigger, heavier duty, stay sharp a really long time. little disclaimer, this set here has purple handles. These are the version, these are the hardest version they make, and these are very expensive. The pair that's on the website is red handle, green handle, right and left. So you can also get them in this variety, but these are pretty expensive. So unless you're doing a lot of daily work with tough materials, 24 gauge steel, stainless steel, this is stainless steel, and you can cut this all day long with these, no problem. And they stay sharp. These are probably 3 or 4 years old, and I can still cut 1/16 of an inch, no problem. They're still as sharp as the day I bought them. They are special order in the purple handle. They are a stock item in the red and green handle, okay? But these, right now, this type of snip is the hottest snip in the US right now as far as sales go. Everybody is switching to these from this type of snip, or from the Midwest. If you're moving up from Midwest into a Euro snip, into one of these, that's what I would recommend. I would recommend either this set, the straight and shape cutting snips with the springs, okay, or this set with the red and green handles. These are awesome. I use these every day. Okay, next demonstration is going to be on tongs or pliers. So check back in later and I'll have some information on that. And then we're going to move into, I don't know if you can see on the table over here, I have all my Wilco tools out, all the benders and hem tools. So it's going to be snips, tongs, and pliers, some of the specialty hand tools. We'll do the double folders, all the rowel tools, show you how to use those. And then we'll move into the Wilco tools, the benders first, and then the hem tools. And then after that, we're going to move into going over some of the power tools, some of the bigger ticket items. Okay, so stay with me. I'll try and post something every week or every 2 weeks and keep the information coming. Thank you.